Hi guys, it's Mr. Holly. We are going to be looking at multiplying integers. You have spent the first part of this module looking at addition and subtraction of integers, and we are now moving into the part where we multiply and divide integers. So we will be building on what you've learned and reaching back a little bit to look at what you know from elementary school to try to build a conceptual base here for us to build on as we look at multiplying and dividing positive and negative integers. So let's start with what you know from elementary school. Hopefully in elementary school you learned that 3 times 5 is 15, but you learned how to make that multiplication. You learned that multiplication means I have 3 groups of 5. Okay, so if I have 3 groups of 5, I could say that I am doing repeated addition. That's what multiplication is. And it is 5 plus 5 plus 5, and I have 15. We could model that on a number line. It would look like this. It would look like a vector of 5 to the right, a vector of 5 to the right, and another vector of 5 to the right, and we would be at 15, and that's our product. We could model that with counters. You would say that I have one group of 5, a second group of 5, and then a third group of 5, which gives me a product, or if I were to count these, a sum of 15. 15. All right, so now let's introduce what would happen if we started to look at some negative numbers. So what if we wanted to look at having 3 groups of negative 5? 3 groups of negative 5. Well, remember that multiplication is just repeated addition. So we're just going to take negative 5 plus another negative 5 plus another negative 5. So now I have 3 groups of negative 5, which you could, if you think about that, it's probably easiest to look at it here on this number line. I'm going to make a move of 5 to the left, 5 to the left, and 5 to the left again, and we would be at negative 15. We can model this with counters. We're just going to use x's here, but we've got 3 groups of negative 5. There's a group of negative 5. Here's a group of 5 negatives, and here's a group of 5 negatives. Altogether, we have negative 15. Okay, so now here's where we need to start to think a little differently, okay? This is the big jump in this entire process, okay? So if multiplication is 3 groups and then there's some amount in each group, what if I was to do negative 3 times 5? I have negative 3 groups of 5. So I want you to pause the video right now. I want you to make a prediction. What do you think we're going to come up with as our product? Okay, so let's think. I have groups of 5. But I'm not adding them. Multiplying 3 times 5 would be to add 5 3 times. I want to take away 3 groups of 5. I have negative 3 groups of 5. It's as if I am removing 5 3 times. So if I remove 5, so make this the opposite of 5, and then I subtract 5, and then I subtract 5, I'm going to end up with negative 5 plus negative 5 plus negative 5, which is negative 15. And I went from this step to this step by just rewriting the subtraction as addition, right? If I remove 5, that's the same as adding negative 5. Okay, so let's look at that on the number line. And it would be the same as what if I had 3 vectors of 5, right? If I had 3 vectors, each one of them worth 5, I would be at 15. just gonna write 15 here. But what would happen if I remove these three vectors? If I got rid of those, I'd be right back at 0. And that is a move of 15 to the left, right? Whenever I remove these three vectors, that would be like taking away 15. So what would be my product? Negative 15. The number line is not my favorite way to see that. I think the counters is actually a great way to see that. So looking at this right here, what do I have? If you can remember back to our work with counters previously, I have 0, negative 15, positive 15, right? I have 0. So I'm starting at 0, I'm starting with nothing. Now what would happen if I remove three groups of 5? Negative 3 times 5. I'm going to remove three groups of 5. What do I have? Well, I have negative 15. Removing positives creates a negative value, okay? When I remove positives, that's like saying if you spent $5 3 times, right? Like I'm removing $5 3 times. So now you're $15 less than when you started. Okay, let's look at this bottom one. Now is when we really have to think, it's really going to challenge our brains, because not only am I doing a negative 3 groups, but I want groups of negative numbers. So what would happen if I do negative 3 times negative 5? You're going to pause the video and make a prediction here. Okay, so let's talk through this. I want to remove 3 groups of negative 5. So that's like, I want to have a negative 5 here. I want to remove it, so I'm going to get the opposite. I'm going to subtract another negative 5, and then I'm going to subtract another negative 5. So I'm subtracting negative 5 3 times. Okay, I'm removing negative 5 3 times. Well, let's go back to our addition and subtraction rules, right? Anytime we have subtraction, we want to rewrite it as addition. So here I have the opposite of negative 5. What is the opposite of negative 5? That would be 5. If I change this subtraction to addition, I would have to make negative 5 its opposite. The opposite of negative 5 is 5. And if I was going to change this subtraction to addition, I would have to make negative 5 its opposite, which is 5. And here I see that if I take away negative 5 3 times, I have a positive 15. Did you guess it was going to be positive? This is a mind bender for most 7th graders. When we first see this the first time, a negative times a negative creates a positive. Think about it in terms of a negative value. Like, what if you had a $5 monthly subscription to Xbox Live? If you didn't have to pay that for 3 months, so they took away 3 bills, like you don't have to pay it for September, October, or November, would you have more money or less money? You'd have more money. You don't have to pay it for 3 months. So they are removing that $5 charge 3 times. So if you remove 3 times a $5 charge, now you got $15 more than when you started. Positive 15. We can picture that here. What if I had, for September I need to pay $5. For October I need to pay $5. For November I need to pay $5. So I'm going to end up paying $15. I'm going to be at negative 15. That's how much money I'm spending on Xbox Live. But what if instead they say, hey, you don't have to pay for these 3 months? What would happen? Well, I would end up spending $0, which is a gain of 15. That's 15. That means I would have $15 extra that I can do whatever I wanted to with. To remove 3 groups of negative 5 is a gain of 15. This is the easiest picture right here. I'm at 0, I have nothing, right? Because I have 15 negatives and 15 positives, I just have 0 pairs. So what if I wanted to remove 3 groups of -5? What do I have? Positive 15. So this is a brand new concept, and I know that this is kind of new, difficult to kind of conceptualize and think through at first. And this is the best way that we have of picturing it, okay? But we're gonna come up with some really straightforward rules for you, and that's actually developed in the next lesson. But we want you to kind of see where all this is coming from, and hopefully you can envision the actual multiplication taking place. So, all right, thank you all.